No, yeah.
Check. All right, everybody, we're going to get going in about 5 minutes, about 6:30. Because we have a lot on the agenda tonight, we're going to start the meeting at 6:30. So 5 minutes. Thank you.
I'll tell you how much mine cost. A lot more than that.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Jimmy don't need to. Okay, well. It's too hard. in there.
Oh, look at that.
That's my doc. I have a doctor's appointment this morning. That's supposed to be
Good evening, everybody. We are going to start the pre-show, if you will. The actual meeting is going to start in about 20 minutes. But while you're finishing up your meals, Herb is going to do a ride report. He was off to British Columbia this weekend, so he will do that while you finish. And then we'll start the official meeting when he's done. Herb?
Hey! Winter!
You need the microphone.
Come on up front, Turbo.
In front of everybody.
Okay. Hello. Can you all hear me? Jack, can you hear me? Okay, good. So I won the high mileage award last year, and that's because I freaking love snow. Okay? Yeah, this might be news to some people, but I do. So we saw some pictures on Facebook from Rene St. Onge. He's what did he ride for? Sled Next or something like that, one of the big movies. Anyway, he posted up a picture. places in town to eat. One for breakfast, one for dinner. They both had Wi-Fi. It was amazing. Yeah. Yeah, so we went up Friday after work, and Chris was able to get Monday off from work, and so we rode for a few hours on Monday morning because we just couldn't stay away. Cool, so that's it. Thank you.
Thanks,
Oh.
Herb. Yeah, Herb! Herb, my hero!
Yep. No, he's out of Alpine, Wyoming. This is in British Columbia. Thank you.
Okay, well, we have quite an action-packed agenda today, and hopefully we'll get through it all, including with Jason's draw. First off, I am going to have, actually third off, I'm going to have Jason come up and introduce any new member for the very first time. But before I do that, I would like to do 2 thank yous. The first and most important thank you, I'd like to recognize the day that we all came out and attended our meeting at. All the veterans, can you please stand up? Yeah. Thank you so much for for all your service and then coming out and sharing your day with us as well. So hopefully we'll have some entertaining time here for you. Secondly, I'd also like to thank everybody that came out and volunteered at the Wassa Snow Show. We had a great turnout, and even though that attendance was down overall, the show was really good for us, and I'd like to thank everybody's efforts that contributed. So thank you very much to all the volunteers. Jason.
Okay, a lot of people here tonight. Holy cow. Any first timers? Holy cow. All right. So the rules of the First Timers Club are state your name, where you're from, where you like to ride, and don't be sensitive when you say what you're.
For yourself, from Linwood, the Central Track area. Oh, sorry. Corey Estelle, from Linwood. I ride a cat, and I ride up in San Jose.
Okay, who else we got? Hands. Let me see hands. Hands. No, you were here last week.
Yeah, my name is Bill Miller. I'm from Ellensburg. And at the risk of offending the Washington, my wife and I really enjoy Island Park. And that's where we venture to, but all over Kittitas County. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Mike is the Wassa rep for District 5 North. Bill. 5 North. So he came a long way to see us. I don't know. You can tell how bored he is. So you had your hand up, right? All right. Oh, and just so everybody knows, the microphones don't talk like this because you can't hear them. You got to actually talk into it. So.
Hey, all right. My name's Carter Black. I ride a Polaris. Oh, yeah. I ride in Kittitas County.
They started on a cat. All right. Anybody else? We have hands.
Good evening. My name is Seth. I crash across town here. I ride primarily Gold Creek. If there's snow, I'll ride Baker. I'm happy going anywhere. I learned to balance at some point in my life, so I ride a bike.
I'm Alan in LeMay, Murdoch. We have a Q and a Polaris. We don't know anything. We're beginners.
Anybody? Oh, here we go.
My name's Sam. I live up in Lake Stevens. I ride the Polaris. Yeah! And I'll go wherever there's snow, hopefully.
Anybody else? Who else? There we go. All right.
Mike Potratz, this is my wife Sharon. We live in Bonnie Lake. We ride Greenwater. We ride out of Clay Island, Ronald area. Actually, anywhere there's snow, especially last year. So we're just happy to be a part of the club. Pray for snow, right? Oh, we ride cat.
I got no love tonight. Jeez. Right? I got beat up. Anybody else? Yeah, right. All right. Thank you, Chris.
Okay, we've got a quick set of agenda items to go through here, announcements and what have you. The first one is the avalanche training that we have set up for February 27th and 28th. That is a Saturday and Sunday, and those courses are available online to sign up right now. And the way that it works is this. There are 4 sessions. So there's a morning session for 4 hours, Saturday morning, and then an afternoon session for 4 hours, and then the same again on Sunday. And these are on snow companion rescue courses. So Mike Duffy from Avalanche One is going to come up and do these courses for us. And we're hoping that there'll be snow up on a slope somewhere that we can actually go up and do those. So there hasn't been much sign up yet, but we'd like to make sure that everybody signs up sooner than later, because we will fill those spots. And we're going to open it up to other clubs here in December. So we want everybody here to get first chance. We think that we should be able to fill all the spots, 10 spots per session, so there's 40 spots total. Yes, sir.
You have to have a companion for this class?
And the companion rescue course is, it will train you to be able to rescue your riding bike. So not for the course.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called companion rescue because it's designed so that you are able to go out and save another person that gets buried. Whereas if you did a full level 1, you can do multi-burials, etc. So in this 4-hour session, it's designed to teach you to rescue one person.
Can you make it easier to? For some reason, I keep clicking the website to sign up. It doesn't happen.
Okay. I will look over that, and then we can also do PayPal as well. And thirdly, if that doesn't work, then we can just do at the December 5th Christmas party. We can just do check or cash sign up at that point.
CDS discount.
Any other questions on the avalanche training?
I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
$20 discount for club members. Otherwise, the price is higher for non-club members. So just let me know they're getting advantage.
Yes, that's right. So to John's point, the club cost, if you're a member, is $70 for the course and $90 if you are not. So if you sign up, then you get the discount if someone's to wash. So there you go. 2 birds with 1 stone. Yes, sir.
Open that up after the Christmas party to the other clubs, or is it open up after this meeting?
We'll open it up starting December 1st. So rest of November you have to sign up. With the holiday season coming up, we'd like to remind everybody that the Amazon affiliate link is on the front page of our website. And if you use that link when you shop Amazon, go to our website, click on that Amazon button first, and then shop Amazon like you normally would, then our club will get a commission. So we get anywhere between 4 and 6% of any of the purchases that you make, rather than Amazon getting that. They give that back to us. So with the holiday shopping season coming up, please remember that link's there. And if you're not using any other affiliate program, then please use that link, and it's free money for the club. Yeah, so they're usually about a quarter behind, and so right now we've been earning roughly $100 a month or so. The Christmas party, I mentioned it briefly, but the Christmas party is December 5th from 5 p.m. until whenever. I think 10 o'clock is the official closing time, but exactly. It usually goes a little bit later. And that's at the last resort, and they're taking care of all the food and everything. Again, we have the website sign up, $25. Again, if you have any issues signing that up on the web with that, then just let Jason and I know, and we'll figure out another way to register people. Any questions on the Christmas party? So I'm going to do a quick Nature Conservancy update. Laura from the TNC was actually going to be here tonight to update us on the current status, but she's not. Their report actually comes out. Their official report comes out on the 16th of this month, I believe. But I spoke with her a couple weeks ago, and while she said it still could possibly change as it goes through board review. As just sort of a boilerplate because it's not official. Anything could change, but the official standing for snowmobiling is, and for winter activities, is this: there'll be no change to on-trail usage for any winter recreation, and there will be no change to on-trail and off-trail usage for snowmobiles. So when they publish a report, all snowmobiling on TNC land will be exactly how it is and how it has been. So we lose absolutely nothing in this process. So further, they did ask that if they are doing any planting, then that they'll ask us to just not run over seedlings and communicate that out. So then they'll want us to not run over and wait till the snow is deep enough to not damage seedlings. And one other piece is, because the TNC is private land, that gives us the ability as a club to conduct activities on there that we're not actually able to do on federal land. A perfect example is avalanche courses. Usually under federal land guidelines, we're not actually allowed to do courses like that on national forest land. And the TNC has agreed to let us do activities like that going forward. That's a whole other issue, but conversations with them on that as well. No issue. He just asked about the warming hut in their land. Next, I'm going to give this to Mick for.
All right. I got a little announcement here. I'm trying to do a warming hut project, and one of our longtime members. Okay, it is one of our longtime members. Dick and Beth Elkins have been a member since 1993. He is retiring from snowmobiling, so he's going to donate his sleds and trailer to CDS and WASA so that we can proceed on the warming hut deal, or the warming huts that I'm trying to build out over there in Last Resort. So the value of his donation is $10,000, and he's asked us to name the warming hut, if we get it built, as Elkins Hut. So I'll be working out the details with Dick later this month. He's having a little trouble breathing and getting out there. So anyway, he I want to thank him and the club, and we'll put it together. $5,000 of value for going each way. So, I've got to get my hands on the sled, but he hasn't been able to ride it for 3 years, and he's got failing health.
Thank you, Mick. And any other questions on Dick's donation? The has been going through and figuring out who still hasn't paid. I know that there's email memberships that go out, but if you've missed the renewal online, like you traditionally have, or online via PayPal, and if you go to the page, the front page, there's a PayPal link on one side and the Amazon link on the other side. They're both right at the top. And if you click on the PayPal link, it'll bring you to your 4 options. And the 4 options are you can pay a single member, you can pay family, and those both include the WASA dues if you haven't paid those yet. And if you have paid your WASA dues or with another club or what have you, then you can choose those options as well for paying single person or family member without the WASA dues. So this is Are there any other questions before we move on? Yes, sir.
How many people registered their sled? In case the snow god is monitoring our snowmobile registration. So you might have to-
I'd just like to thank everybody that came out for the brushing project. That was awesome. I was not late.
You were so late.
I was there. Okay. Just shows you how much I love this club, how much I love you.
I know.
Okay, so we have the raffle tonight. I really appreciate everybody's patience with me pushing raffle tickets, but we're getting ready to start the show and we're gonna be pretty busy. But so if you want raffle tickets, last push, let us know because we are closing the door in about 10 minutes or so. So, anyways, thank you. Yeah, well, money talks.
So what you have to do is just click on the little red button. Updated it since then, and when we did the survey over the summer, it was asked that this presentation be done again. So we're going to go through it. It takes about 20 minutes or so, and I understand that it's going to be a little bit hard to read with the room and the lights and what have you, but it is online. So I'll talk through everything that's on each of the slides and where it comes from, but afterwards you can go through it at your own leisure, and then you can let us know if you have any questions after that.
The code word is bazinga.
It's online through our website.
It's online through our website, correct? Yeah. And I'll post a link to it afterwards as well on our Facebook page. So basically, the presentation is introduction to mountain riding, and it covers what you can possibly cover in a classroom setting like this. So a little bit of disclaimer here. There is no alternative for actually getting on the snow and trying and practicing snowmobiling as a sport. So it's anything you have to train and practice and fail and pick yourself up again. When I put this together, I put together a variety. Now, having said that, I know that the only 2 things that any snowmobilers will ever agree on is that the third snowmobiler is doing it wrong. So I know there's a chance that something might work a little bit better or different for individuals. So when you look at this material, factor that in, and how can you apply what's in here to how you ride and your own personal techniques. So as we go through this, we're going to cover a few things. We're going to cover body position. We're going to cover general riding techniques. We're going to just briefly cover some gear and tools, and then group riding etiquette. In body position, what we're going to cover, and I say here we cover from the most static to the most dynamic, we're going to cover hand positions. We're going to cover hip and shoulder positions, foot positions, and then eyes. And when I say the most static to dynamic, meaning that hand positions are something that when you get into a enough RPMs in your track, then it actually isn't going to want to turn that easy. The machine's not going to want to bank over, and the reason that is because it's just a massive gyroscope. And the faster the track's going, the more stable the machine is, and that makes it a lot more difficult to turn. And when you have your hand right there on the brake, then it gives you the chance to just to interrupt that gyroscope to destabilize the machine and give you a chance to turn it a little bit easier. That's the brake hand. So now throttle hand. Throttle hand seems obvious, but there's sort of one key element that you want to consider when you position your throttle hand. And much in the same fashion that when you're gripping the handlebars and not able to get a brake out, if you have your hand too far to the right, meaning that you can't fully grip the throttle itself, and you don't have full leverage on the handlebars. That means that you can't push in one direction. You're stronger to pull it, but you can't push it all that well. And you can't actually position your hand. You can get used to riding with your hand in such a way so you can grip the throttle block fully without squeezing the throttle, and control it more of the throttle with the palm of your hand rather than the thumb. And that gives you a couple of things. A, when you're in rough terrain, it keeps you from accidentally falling or leaning forward onto the throttle. But again, it gives you both pull and push control. On one side or the other. Figuring out a hand position that gives you both brake position, having fingers on the brakes, and having throttle block position so that you can push and pull on the throttle. Try to keep in your mind to practice doing that consistently without relying on the mountain bar.
Those mountain bars come on most Polarises, right?
No. Pulled your skidoo out with it several times. Yeah, hang on to that thing when it's going over the hill.
Hey.
It did say that mountain bars are great for doubling when you're doubling a skidoo rider back out at the end of the day. So yes, they put mountain bars on Polarises for that reason. So yeah, so I'm going to run through a bunch of different foot positions and customarily what they're used for. So very basic foot position is just called foot position neutral, and that's standing on the left foot, right foot, each on each of the respective running boards, like you'd expect. But it's foot position neutral and forward. So when we look at the running boards, they're very long. I'm going to talk about a forward neutral position, a middle neutral position and then a back neutral position. And in the foot position, the neutral and forward, this is the most common, and this is one that is going to weight the front of the machine a little bit more. So when you want the skis to be weighted a little bit more, like for example, going downhill and you want more steering control, and it's just the most comfortable position, then foot position, neutral forward is the position that is called for. The one that, of course, neutral back that we just talked about, what this does, same foot position, but now it weights the back of the machine and takes a little bit more weight off of the skis itself. And this comes in more handy when you're climbing, used mostly when you're climbing, because it actually makes the machine a little bit easier to turn. So when you're riding in mountain environments, and as the hill gets a little steeper, the skis are eventually going to start to come up as you climb, and which is perfectly fine. That's quite common for mountain machines to want to do that. But with you, the far forward you are as the machine comes up, then your center of gravity also is going to start to come up with it as well. And the higher that center of gravity becomes, the more unstable the machine is going to be, because A, the center of gravity is higher, and B, you also are much more personally higher in the air. So just by when you're climbing in those scenarios and you are further back on the machine, then your center of gravity is further back, more closer to the ground, and you personally aren't as far in the air. I've got a position here of just like a balance board, and it's much like that. So with the skis in the air, how do you turn the machine, right? Well, just imagine it's like one of those balance boards standing on a ball, or one of those little rocker wheels like that. That's exactly how the machine is going to want to turn when the front end is up. And so that's why the further you get your weight back, then the lot easier it is to do that. If you're further up and you are further off the ground, then that becomes very, very difficult. So just hopping back, stepping back when you're in climbing situations stabilizes the machine, gives you more steering control while climbing. So yeah, I'm just reading to make sure that I covered everything. Yeah, I think that's everything. And the next one, I think this is the last foot position that we called, is opposite foot forward. So in the last one, the off camber, the left foot was still on the left ski. In this scenario, now we're moving the right foot to the left ski, and the left foot itself is actually usually used for controlling the sled on the slope. So as you get into more technical situations, this opposite foot forward position, which you'll often hear, is the one that's used very, very commonly. And this is what's used for getting the machine up on edge. So using throttle control to roll the machine over, get it up on edge, having the right foot on the left skid, and then you can use your left foot for control on the slope and actually taking weight off of the machine. When you are in deeper snow and climbing, or stop in deeper snow and have to get started again, one of the reasons why the machine itself will get stuck is because it's weighted too heavy, meaning that your own person weight on the machine combined with the depth of the snow causes the running boards to get hung up and the track spins out. So being in a situation like this, you can still be on the machine, but then transfer some of your weight with the other foot onto the slope. And what that does is make the machine be able to start a little bit easier, or if it's about to get stuck, taking your own body weight off of the machine so that you can prevent it from getting stuck. The snowmobile by itself pretty much will never get stuck, but throw a body on there, and that's what happens. Mike Metzger.
Look at those sunglasses.
So the last body position we talk about is eyes. So we did. There was a slide in here on hips and shoulders, and hips and shoulders are always going to be pretty much square with where you're currently going. So hips and shoulders are like body position present, and your eyes are going to be body position future. So your eyes are going to basically dictate where you're going to go. And you've heard it, if there's one tree in the field and you fixate, you look at that tree, then that's where the slide's going to go. And this is something that takes a little bit of practice, is be able to put on the blinders and not look at whatever it is you're worried about hitting, but make sure that your head is looking, your eyes are looking towards where you want to go, and then that'll effectively get your body position to follow suit. Nope. So that's it on body position. We're going to get into just a little bit of technique here, because again, this is technique itself is a little harder to talk through in a presentation. But one of the biggest things in technique itself is to establish what's often called a line. And we always talk about, let's hit that line, let's hit line. And really what that means is taking from where you are and to where you want to be and breaking it down into segments that you can plan ahead for. And if you want to go from, and I know it's hard to see the picture here, but if the line that you want to take requires a slight left side hill followed by a turn through a little creek ravine and then a right side, left side, opposite side hill, then breaking that down into 3 segments so that you know the first portion is one where you have the machine weighted on the left-hand side so that you can make the left-hand side hill. And then when you cross a certain point, then you have to realize, okay, well then at that point, this is where I want to make sure that my body position then is neutralized so that I can square up and go through the little ravine and then shift the body position onto the right side so I can make the right turn. And breaking it down into those steps before you actually just go off whimsically helps you navigate through the mountains a whole heck of a lot easier. Having said that, when you watch any of the videos that are out there, videos, there's very rare that there's stuff in there that isn't actually scripted in that regard. When they hit certain lines, usually it's an area, even lines that they've hit time and time again, and really practice that one same line over and over and over again before they film it. And it's done in that fashion where they break it down, plan how they're going to get their body and weight focused before they actually go through the action. So a lot of times when you see somebody that pulls off something that looks miraculous, they'll just sit and they'll stare at it for 5 minutes beforehand, and they're doing exactly that, planning where they have to be, what their checks are, and how they have to shift their weight, so that when they actually get to those points, then which they'll come very quickly, and they've got that plan in their head, and it's rather than just trying to get from point A to point B, they're executing against the plan. It's just like any sport, there's sort of a game plan that you have to follow through on. Okay, so this technique is neutral position turn. So we talked about the neutral position where just standard left hand, left foot, left running board, right foot, right running board. Neutral position turn is a turn, if you imagine, in an open field in deep powder, where the machine actually is going to bank in a left fashion. The machine's turned over and completes the circle. Now, one of the things that makes snowmobiling unique is that the sled's got different characteristics based on the different snow types. So one day you'll get out and it'll be hard snow, and it's sort of like riding a quad, right? You kind of steer it around and the trail is groomed to whatever, you steer it to the right and it goes to the right. But then you get into a different environment and it's a complete set of different dynamics. And in an environment like that, whereas a quad or what have you, has the ground itself pushes back and it can turn, it doesn't happen in the snow. So you have this notion of counter steering, which will actually offset the fluidity of the snow, if you will. And counter steering is what actually enables the machine to bank over. So when you're conducting a left-hand turn, then you actually turn to the right so that it destabilizes the machine, and in doing so, it'll tip over to the left and give you that banking motion. Let me go back just a little bit for that. Part and parcel. Now, there's a bunch of steps here that sort of walk through the mechanics of it, and you can read through it and try to then match it when you get out into a snow environment. But there's, when you hear the, well, everybody go brap, 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 that's actually in conjunction with the counter steer. The brap, brap is a series of throttle and or brake movements that will, the more throttle you have, kind of lifts the machine up a little bit. And when you're making the turn and you're holding a consistent arc, what you're doing is you're basically using the throttle to lift the machine up and then let it turn, and then use the throttle to lift the machine up again, let it turn. So as you're going through a consistent, smooth turn, you're using your on and off the throttle to hold that line consistently. So that's what the throttle is doing. The throttle isn't used for forward momentum in this regard. It's used for actually lifting the machine and then letting the momentum of that lift turn. And that's an instant where having your brake hand, your finger on the brake, is important, because if you don't have your finger on the brake, then you'll actually, the momentum of the machine will go off in the tangent of the arc and go straight. So that's why it's, if you have trouble making that turn, it's because the throttle, you can use the throttle to lift it and then let that momentum carry you. But if you don't have the brake, then sometimes you can get going too fast and go off on the tangent. Okay, so neutral position turn. Now this is just general climbing techniques. So first thing that says here is never climb beyond or your descent or turnout abilities. So you always, much like we talked about having a plan, if you are going to attempt to climb, then you should really have one of two things available to you. You should be able to turn out and or stop on the slope, or be able to ride it down from wherever you are in case you don't make it. I know it sounds obvious, but nonetheless, again, this is keeping your position further back. The steeper the slope it is, you're trying to attempt, the further back that you want your weight on the machine to give you that better control and to keep your center of gravity from raising up too high. Again, just turning like you're on a balance board. And this is a scenario where the eyes are really important, and not watching what the front of the skis are doing. What you want to be watching is way in advance, way up the slope, to understand what weight turns, what weight size of the machine you're going to have to be on, etc. Because it is like a balance board. If you're not anticipating how you're going to have to weight that machine back and forth, then that's when when you're climbing in situations, that's where the machine is going to start turning in a direction that you're not going to be able to control anymore. And if you're not looking far enough ahead, then you're not going to be able to control that in time, because it's all, in order to make these turns when your skis are in the air, you have to be ahead of the machine and not make them reactively, but proactively. So that was ascents or climbs. Descents are very, well, almost the opposite, in the sense where keeping your weight forward gives you more steering control. And you've got a couple options when you're descent. So the sled itself actually has what pseudo gears, and basically that means that as the belt moves up and down the clutch itself, it changes radius of turn inside the clutch, and that can actually be used to help slow the machine as it descends. So one caveat is, once you get going too fast, you're not going to be able to get into the gear that you want for descent. So right when you start a descent, you can get into the gear that you want, and it's going to be different for every sled, but very high RPMs initially can bring you into that gear, and then it can actually hold your speed as you descend. Obviously, the steeper the descent, that gear might not hold anymore. But at this point, you've got an option between braking, and when you brake down steep hills, it just eventually turn into a toboggan. But you can alternate between braking and then bringing it back into the gear, braking, bringing it back into the gear, and that's A, controls your descent, but also gives you an option in that when you are re-engaging the clutch like that, it does give you some track speed if you actually need or have the ability rather to use that in a turn as you're going down. Or a slide deck, very same technique. Finger on the brake and eyes on the top of the obstacle. So it's very, very common when you're crossing a creek to focus on the water at the bottom. And that is a lot of times when you focus your eyes, that's where you end up. And in reality, what you want to be doing is you want to look at, when you're crossing a creek, you want to be looking at where you need to be. So focus on a point on the bank on the other side. Same with loading a sled deck. Focus right on the top of it, in the center of it, and that keeps everything square, keeps your body position square, and keeps your throttle keeps the throttle smooth enough so that you can get so that you can lay the track flat on the climbing surface. So rather than approaching slow and try to accelerate up a creek bank, or hitting your ramp slow and try to accelerate up your ramp, you want to hit it with enough smooth momentum so that you can ensure that the track will lay flat. And once you do, then you can just feather yourself up the other side rather than having to try to accelerate up the other side. So the thing with mountain riding is the better you get, the further away you get from your vehicle. And the further you get away from your vehicle, more backcountry is between you and your vehicle, the more likely that something's going to happen and you're going to need something to get yourself back out. So in here, I've got a picture of all the tools that I carry, and it's going to be different for every single machine. But as you progress in your riding abilities, there's all kinds of facets that have to progress as well. So the tools that you carry are ones that you really have to consider. So if you got into there, you have to know that you can get back out. Same holds true with what you actually wear. So the better you, the more your abilities progress, then the higher altitudes and you can get up to and down. So I just put a list here of everything that I wear, and everything that I carry with me is I plan on being able to be there for about a day and a half. So I carry enough to sustain me overnight until the middle of the next day, which is not a lot of time. You know, some people carry stuff to carry them for a couple nights, but you know, I do a good solid 36 hours or so. No. Yeah. Okay, so I think this is the last slide. So this is just a group riding etiquette slide. And
Byron, watch this one, will you?
yeah, especially for Byron. And this is one of those things that it seems obvious to people that that think they know it, but if you've never been told it, then you may not. But there's a lot of these that are very important, especially around here, because twisty, windy roads, and there's other sleds coming, and there's groomers coming. You never know what might be coming at you. So similar to driving, when you're going around a blind corner, or when you're not sure when you have poor visibility, ride on the right. Give groomers. I always know. Knowing the groomer schedule is helpful, but there's no guarantee that they won't be there. So I always predict that a groomer could be on the trail. So if you're going around a corner and you're not going to be able to stop in time, then assume that a groomer is going to be there, because it happens. People hit groomers all the time, and there's nowhere to go. A groomer takes up the complete trail, and if you go around the corner and there's a groomer there, then you're going to pile into them.
Tim, everybody hit it? Hey, yeah.
There's when you're a slope rather than a hill. The rest of the thing, hand signals. We use hand signals in Washington State a lot, or I'm just trying to think of if everywhere else uses them. I know when we ride in Canada, sometimes not everybody uses them, but hand signals indicate how many people are in your party. So if you're riding, you're the first person, you've got 4 people behind you, then you signify that, hey, there's 4 people behind me, and then the last person will signify there's 0 person behind me, and that just lets the other groups know exactly that. So if there's spacing between you, for example, then they'll know to watch out for you. With group riding, don't lose the person behind you. So as the last person, of course, there's no one behind you. As the second last person, if you make sure that you always know where the person behind you is, then the group will never get separated, because that'll trickle all the way up. Especially important when there's forks in the road or trail variations, because it does happen quite a bit where somebody goes off to the left and somebody has directions to take a right, but it's their right rather than right, and people get, this seems obvious, but I always keep track of the person behind you. And when I do groups, I like to keep staying in the same order all day. So you start out in an order, you're the third person in the group, then stay in that order all day, because then you always know who's right ahead of you. And if it gets out of whack at any point in time, then it's a lot more obvious. And when you're riding in large groups, like 10 or 15, if you break out order, then it is easier to lose track of people. And it also gets dangerous when they all start to go at different times. And if you know what order you're in, then as you're starting and launching, then it becomes much more seamless. And chances of colliding are a lot greater when the group as a whole are coming to a stop and then starting again. So the rest is, there's nothing else here I want to cover in that. I'm going to put this, it is online, but I'll send the link out initially to our Facebook page when I get done this here. Hopefully there was some value out of this. Like I said, if there's any one thing you take away with this, ride with one finger on the brake.
Thank you. We moving on?
Yeah.
I'll put the screen down. John, you want to come help me with this real quick? Farian? Farian, you want to come help me with this real quick? So here's the best part of the night besides Chris's presentation. So, oh, is there some tickets on there? Yellow tickets?
There are. We better include those.
Right, we better put them in there, shake them up. So we're going to wrap up all these prizes really quick. If I miss you and forget you, I'm so sorry. But all the donations that we got, Tim from The Last Resort donated a bunch of stuff. Mike Metzger with Daredevil goggles. Back there, thanks, Mike. 509, BCA. Bill Yeager donated some of his awesome straps to help the Polarises get the Arctic cats out of the ditch. Hey. And I'm just trying to look. And Premier Polaris donated some the shirts and the jackets. Chris, can you confirm that this Polaris jacket came from Premier? It's an XL. It is not interchangeable. We can't exchange it, or you don't know?
I don't know. The size might be interchangeable.
Okay, the size, but the style won't be. Tim donated this awesome Motorfish jacket and the boots. They are interchangeable, but you have to go to The Last Resort to do it. So there's a catch.
Any last calls and tickets?
Any last calls? Anybody?
Tim wants to buy something.
All right. Well, all right. So we'll take a 5-minute break, 10-minute break. If anybody wants to go to the bathroom, do whatever. 10 minutes, tickets. And then if you put it this way, if your name's in the bag, everything up here is free. So, right? All right. So we'll kick this off in about 10 minutes.
Oh.
We're going to do the announcements on the site. You got
It's like what was the hand signals you were using?
Oh, yeah. So stay on the track.
If you had to give one back to Snow Campers, which one would you guys, as far as the volumes go?
Oh, one of the ones that I have. Yeah. The one that I have. They're all the same size.
You make it toward you take the axles and snow.
Yeah, well, yeah, mine like pivot in. And then they just screw in and you put the pins in because it takes time off. The bar. Yeah. Mine come off.
But those were supposed to have sex.
Oh, is that? Oh, that's yeah.
All I did was I had currents real low now, and that's why those pins are.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they just fall out.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is mine, right?
No, I don't. I would have to put the. It might be. Yeah, I would have to put the pins in.
There's on the two. There's a little pin inside that tube. You can put them in, and rotate.
Yeah, no,
Well, mine I put on the marks on the ball. Just rotate on the shaft. It should line up with the mark. Yeah. I put that. Now I'm head out. I just took that bumper.
Is the meeting over after the raffle?
Yes.
Okay, well, I won't order dinner then because I'll be sitting by myself.
Yeah, no, it's
I'll stop at a restaurant.
Yeah, it's 5:30 to 7 with
Yeah, by the time I get off work, just go away. Are they doing a beer pre-sale for us again?
So yeah, most people stay with their meeting will be over at 8. Most people stay until 9.
Okay.
So
I've been out here since last year, so usually I have a big pile of beer.
yeah,
But it's good because we get space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. All right. Good to see you. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. There goes Russian.
Okay, so here's how the raffle works. We have 28 prizes. And I kind of would like to know who peeked inside the Seahawks box, just by the way. Yeah, nobody's going to own up to that one. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a number. That number is correlated with the 28 prizes.
And then once we draw the number and we have the item, John is going to be drawing a name out of the bag, and that person wins that prize. So, Kurt, past president CDS, draw a number. Number is number 8. Number 8 is a big fancy BCA Stealth 270 Pro. And the winner of that Stealth BCA 270 Pro.
Bottom or top?
Oh, what's the question? Yes, and for those of you that did pay online and PayPal, I did put your name, maybe under mine, in the bag. But we'll do our best to make sure that, yeah. No, your name was honestly put in the bag. So.
Okay, we need crowd participation. Top of the bag or bottom of the bag?
Bottom!
Okay, reach to the bottom. Reach to the bottom.
This is like pull tabs at the bar. Who do we got? Daryl.
Hamburg.
Daryl Hamburg. Okay. Nope. Oh, yeah, we're done with it. Okay, Lloyd. Draw a number, please.
Come on, Daddy needs a new pair of shoes.
What number you got?
Just mixing like crazy.
On the back. Oh, you got 2. Number 5.
Okay, bottom or top? Top.
Number 5 is some True Adventure gloves.